There's two things that I don't do in life. I don't go anywhere where I'm not respected. One, and I live a respectful life in terms of my own personal goals and achievement. And number two is that I never paid a price for the sins of other men, even men who look like me or whatever else, or the same complexion or culture as me. I pay no price for the sins of other men. That means that in relationships or whatever somebody's ex did, go get therapy, get some mental health counseling. That ain't none of my business. But getting back to the respect thing, the truth of the matter is this. If I don't go anywhere where I'm not respected, when you hear people talk to you or talk about you in a disrespectful way, and they're very comfortable with it, we're not talking about the actions of individuals. We're talking about in general. That just lets you know what they think of you and how they feel about you as a collective, no matter what the actions are of individuals. And that tells you right now that your best option, in my opinion, is silently walking away, removing your time, energy, attention, or whatever else, and your resources, which is most important. The same way you did with the church. What did the church start doing? The church started pandering to women. And what did the black men in that church did? They walked away every Sunday, every Wednesday. It became a male bashing event. The gospel of the gynocentrism was the new gospel because it became easier to beat upon men to get the women to keep giving money. And plus, we saw the influx of single moms. We saw all the things that was going on in the culture and the community and it's this general society that have warped itself into complete, utter gynocracy. And we have matriarchal culture, especially in the black community in America. And every day, every week, the pastor would say the same message about what men should be doing better, how men need to be better, what men are trash. They're talking about the worst element of manhood and masculinity. This man is this, or this man is that. These men are worthless. These men are. It was always talking about the worst of the. Every time they talk about men as a collective, or black men especially, they always talk about, the worst of the worst. The woman come in there and complain because she was dating Mook Mook. Mook Mook, who you dated, picked the worst, the guy, because he had swagger. Again, the men are not vetting the men that these women mess with. So when these women go out there and they mess with some guy because of arousal or whatever, and he destroyed their life, they cast dispersion upon a whole group of men because of the actions and choices that they've made in their life, because they picked a man that was trash. And now they put that upon all men. But now they're in church with two babies by a guy who if they had a father in their lives or whatever, or who somebody has told them 1,000 times, that guy has pride character, or that guy is just going to knock you up with a baby and leave you. But they were all in their emotions and rebellious and did what they wanted to do. Now they're in church bashing with the pastor, and the pastor's bashing the men. And you have a whole bunch of men that are squared away, that are on their game, that listen to this shit every Wednesday and Sunday. They're like, hell no, I'm out the back door. This is matriarchal culture, 101. This is garbage. So they silently move away. They leave. They don't hang around. Let me tell you something. That's what hurts. I'm not saying you're trying to hurt anybody. All this running off your mouth don't mean shit. You can sit around these days been talking about relationships and all this other shit forever. You know what's affecting things now? The economy, the money, automation, job replacement. They got rid of DEI. They got rid of affirmative action. They got rid of all these programs these women were benefiting of. They get looked down on men with their basket weaving degrees. They don't have the money. Gas is $4 plus a gallon, $5 a gallon. It's the walking away that hurts. It's the dudes not getting in women's DM. It's the dudes ignoring these women when they walk by. They've changing a flat tire on the side of the street. The guys don't do shit because they realize that they're dealing with somebody who was raised to hate them. No one's going to help somebody who's raised to hate them, who spews nonsense on social media all day about all these negative things they say about them, person who thinks that they're less than them, and if there wasn't a need, they would just walk past you like you were invisible. So guys are not going to go out and help these people. That's what affects life, not you sitting around. Strategic discomforts is a peaceful life strategy for change. All you're going to get out of me, if you don't treat me with respect, is ignoring you completely, 100%, seeing the back of my bald head, or strategic discomfort, where I'm going to take away all of your programs and all of your incentives through whatever thing is, whatever benefits you that makes you arrogant is going to be slowly drained away. I'm not funding your arrogance or disrespect of me. And that's what the men have got to that point. So we have this mindset and mentality. You're going to have to just walk away in silence. And to most, I made a video before about young men, especially young black men. Listen to these matriarchal, jelly-back men, these unconscious simps, or these guys that are leading them at the path of destruction. Many of them, especially my generation, Gen X, or the boomers. These are bitch-led men that have you out here wifing up single moms and marrying 304s, and at the pastor at the church have you messing with somebody with 100 bodies and 5 kids. Oh, she found Jesus and she's a good woman. These are matriarchal men. They're used to eating out of the trash can. The women set the values and the standards in their community, and what they're going to do, they're going to give you the worst of the worst, the women, if they're in control. You see, men, patriarchal men, they don't make things like marriage the last stop on the sexual liberation rail lines. Marriage is the first stop. They don't serve the best men, the leftovers. After they don't believe in the hardest working, most qualified, most competent men don't eat out the trash can in a patriarchal environment. They get the best up first. Any community that gives the hardest working, most honest, honorable men the leftovers, he gets to get what Mook Mook has sampled. He's not supposed to be eating the same thing as him. That's why you have a dysfunction, because the men are not vetting the men for the women. Because even if you don't have a damn father, find a competent uncle or a competent patriarchal man. It can't be no jellyback, unconscious simp, or any type of those men. Or you got these, cucked men. Don't look for cucked men. Watch how he behaves with his wife. And if he's controlled by his wife, and he's controlled by women, or his identity is based on having a woman in his life, don't take his advice. He's going to give you some jellyback simp, matriarchal, bitch-led advice, because his whole identity and his mindset, his mentality is formed around worshiping and serving women. He couldn't survive 1 year on his own living in peace on an island. You see, you can't listen to them damn dudes, man. I don't listen to that. As soon as they start talking that matriarchal talk out of their mouth, I've already shut them down in my mind. I know what this dude is about. I know what his heart and soul and his mind, his mentality is going. And everything you're talking to him, you might as well be talking to a woman behind him, because he's going to pillow talk everything you said to him, get the approval of the queen. So I don't even talk to those guys with anything deep and sincere. But people spending time fighting for what? Community that don't like you, that community's gone. It's a matriarchal culture. The men that have sense and have common sense or whatever, they understand. They live on the outskirts of the village in a more rational, reasonable environment. They might go in there, visit friends and family, and say what's up, or maybe help the young man play a little ball or whatever else, or do some mentoring or help with something, whatever, but they'll come in there real quick and they're out of there. They know the deal over there. That's matriarchal 101. And obviously the, heavy influence of, the certain elements of the culture is heavy and strong in a matriarchal environment. They don't like the leadership or guidance of masculine, strong males. They like crash out dudes because, again, they don't represent masculine discipline, because with that masculine discipline comes accountability, comes standards, come expectation. Everything is based on performance and competence. You don't get to be a victim in a peaceful life's world. I don't do that victim shit. I'm not trying to make profit of you being a victim. That's Omar and them. There's no profit in you not being a victim. A peaceful life cracks the whip. You get compassion and care, but I don't hear that bullshit. I'm from the get her done society. You might as well put some Missouri plates on my shit, the show me state. I don't have time for bullshit. That's why you don't want to deal with guys like me. Guys like me, they're going to get cursed out because we're going to demand this respect and accountability. And you're not going to come in here and start talking some shit. I'm going to ask you, what have you done in your individual life? I don't care about no race stuff right now. We exist that racism exists. Racism is real. Let's talk about your actions. Why didn't you get up this morning and do X, Y, and Z? See, that's when you make it personal. You don't make it about no collective or group where people hide at. I make it about your ass. What did you do this morning? I'm up. I'm retired now. It's what? Almost 5 o'clock in the morning. I've been working on a couple projects outside, but I'm up motivated. I don't have to get up. I don't have to get up this time in the morning, but this is just my life. I get up this time in the morning because that's who I am. And that's my value system. So when you make it about the individual, not about some collective, not about some group, why didn't you study and do your homework last night? Why didn't you do this? And why didn't you do that? Why did you waste that money? Why did you spend that money? Why did you try and impress the neighbors down the street knowing you can't afford that shit and you got into debt and got your ass all jammed up? Why did you go date with Mook Mook, Day Day, and Daquan? And they knock your ass up with that baby. Why was you out there thotting it up on the campus on your knees? Or why didn't you take that class that was offering you that course in welding or that course in that trade course in high school at the VOTEC that you could have got for nearly nothing and got your certification and be making some real money out here in the society, obviously automation and job. Why didn't you see, if you make it about the person, not about everybody else, it becomes personal. Then, if you felt you needed to improve your health, why don't you stop eating that shit down there that they're serving and get out here and walking and start exercising and taking care of yourself? See, they don't want to talk about this shit. They want to talk about this victim shit. They want to talk about all this other bullshit about the first change anybody makes is with the man in the damn mirror or the woman in the mirror. But we have a system and we have a society where the only thing that people understand is strategic discomforts. They understand like, holy crap, I've got to do better for myself to get better. But sitting around yapping out the mouth, telling people, oh, you people are so wrong and treated me horribly. You cast aspersions upon all these men and all this other bullshit. I tell you what, you talk that shit, you see the back of my head, you won't be seeing my ass coming down there, or and that's why I support things like SYSBM for those black brothers or those black men that are squared away on their game, on their purpose. Save yourself. How about that? And stop listening to these matriarchal males. Women tell them how to vote, tell them how to dress, tell them how to put on their shoes, tell them how to spend their money, tell them how to do every damn thing. And every conversation that you try to hold women accountable gets reversed back to men. You notice you can tell a matriarchal male? If you stay on the train line where you're holding a woman accountable, he will immediately do a U-turn and bring it back to men. Every time you go on that pathway to hold a woman accountable, he will reverse it back to men. It just always gets reversed back to men. You can't stay on the trucks. I can hold women accountable on one rail line, hold men accountable on a second straight rail line. I don't reverse the accountability back to men all the time. That's what matriarchal men do. You catch an ass whooping for your sisters or the women's, misbehaviors. You become like the whipping boy. And that's what the black men, the squared away black men, the black community become, or white men in general in this society, has become the whipping boys for failure in this gynocentric environment that we have now, making them the failures for individuals who won't do the right thing for themselves. And that's you try to blame somebody else for your problem because you not squared away on your purpose or you're just a lazy bastard. and you don't want to do the work, or you're in a situation where you keep making the same errors over and over again. And that's what happens to a lot of people. They're looking for a soft spot to be a victim, and they blame all these people. But in that community, in this particular individual, what he's about, I mean, we're dealing with fringe culture in a community that has been, I don't say bitch led, but that's a whole nother story. We know what the deal is. Smart men just walk away. They're not going to fight. They're not going to argue. They're not going to get into it with all this bullshit. They're just going to look and say, another one of these people and all the other people running their mouth about some bullshit. Smart men are going to run away. Beware of the advice and the information you get from these matriarchal males, especially the ones who are giving you an idea that you need to be some rescue plan for individuals that have mismanaged their youth, mismanaged their finances, and morally know exactly what they should be doing, but they do choose to do the wrong thing and expect everybody else to bail them out for the mistakes that they're making in their own personal life. That is not your problem. Again, paying the price for the sins of other men or other women, at the end of the day, they can kick rocks with that. That's the only way people change, is when they see reality and real accountability coming their way. Other than that, we're still having these stupid conversations that are circular and they go nowhere. Pack your bags. They say, take your ball and go home. If they disrespecting you at the park, for good reason. Some people, you take your ball and say, look, this is bullshit right here. You dudes disrespectful, people are disrespectful. Take your ball and go home. Shut that whole shit down. Take your resources, your money, your energy, your attention, your time. Y'all want to play this game. And then when they see that, and they're only left with those dudes, then they'll say, oh, shoot, maybe we should have treated men better. Maybe we should have treated men with respect. Because that's the only way they're going to respect you. Because look how they respect men now with not respect, but they try to talk about relationships now and all this other bullshit in terms of coming together. It's because of their damn economy, and they can't afford this lifestyle anymore because they like you dudes and whatever. But they can kick rocks with that too. It's financial. It's motivated. The missing ingredient is your money, your resources, your attention, your time, the things that you can do to help their life is all they care about. They certainly don't care about your ass. In the face of disrespect, this is a big world. This is a big country. It's easy for me. I find somewhere else to go. I take care of those who take care of me. And I'm a person that respects the people around me, especially the ones who show me respect. Peace and blessings to you guys. I get some projects I have to finish up today. We'll get back to this conversation, but man, they can have that community. I'm out. Make sure you guys hit the like button.